Hello? Hello? Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for registering for our live webinar on what you need to know about continuous improvement on procurement, purchasing, and supply chain inventory optimization. apicsAU is Australia's premier professional supply chain community with a unique value proposition offering three distinct components: education and training, professional development, and leadership and innovation. As part of the professional development offering this afternoon, we've designed a series of complementary live webinars to help our community develop the knowledge they need to bridge the skills in this industry. We've partnered with SYSPRO, one of our corporate partners, because we believe that continuous improvement involves seeking out new possibilities the technology has to offer. You'll see the education, training, professional development, and leadership innovation on the screen right now with some more details, which is available on our website. So just before we commence with the webinar, there's a few housekeeping rules. So if we can quickly just go through that, please. There's a chat box button located in your toolbox section at the bottom of the screen. You can click on this and type a question whenever you like throughout the webinar. So just to make sure that you can hear me and that you know that your chat box is working, please click on that box and type in something like hello. If you type in something, you will see that it works. See? Yeah, thank you. It looks like it's working. I see a lot of responses. Thank you. All the questions that you will post through these chat boxes, we will post onto our continuous improvement and procurement and purchasing special interest groups, which will allow you to view the questions and continue the discussion amongst yourselves. You'll be able to have conversation on this, and to review this, you will have to join as a web friend on our website. So if you would like to participate in these questions and their responses as we go ahead, please type yes in your chat box now, and we will join you to our special interest group. Thank you for that. Good. Our industry is undergoing one of the biggest changes we've ever seen in procurement and purchasing. Our first speaker is Parth Bommakanti. Parth is highly respected Lean Sigma Master Black Belt and NLP Master Practitioner with over 20 years of leadership and training experience. Just some of his clients have included Ford Motor Company in Australia, Department of Transport New South Wales, Department of Justice Victoria, Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman Office, and so on. Parth has been invited as our guest presenter today to help us better understand how we can make our procurement and purchasing operation leaner and more profitable through today's competitive environment. So over to you, Parth.
Thank you so much, Peter, and it's an absolute privilege to be your guest speaker here today for this apicsAU and SYSPRO webinar. Thank you for having me. And if everyone can hear me, can you please type in a hello Parth or something like that? Type something into your chat box just to make sure you can all hear me. Yes, I see the hellos coming through. Thank you so much, guys. That's wonderful. So this is a very quick introduction, and if you don't mind, I will be talking relatively fast. I've only got about 12-13 minutes to speak to you, and I want to give you a very quick introduction to lean in supply chain and procurement. I will go into what is lean in a second. In fact, if we go to the next slide, you'll see that where this webinar is all about continuous improvement in supply chain and procurement, the definition of continuous improvement is this. Continuous improvement is a systematic pursuit of excellence and satisfaction of customer needs in a dynamic and competitive environment. See the key words there. It is a systematic. It is a systematic process. It's a systematic methodology. The aim is excellence. And when you apply this, you meet customer needs, and we all agree that this is a dynamic and competitive environment where you need to be applying this. So that's what continuous improvement is, and lean is a methodology or a way of applying continuous improvement. It's been around for more than 100 years. The beauty of lean is that it's a highly effective, highly adaptable, and easy to apply methodology in any context. And at Vative, I come from an organization called Vative, and at Vative we've applied this for more than 350 organizations right now, and still growing. And every one of them find that with the right development, the right capability development amongst their team members, it is in fact relatively easy to apply. Now, the history of lean, I said lean has been around for at least 100 years. If we go to the next slide, you'll see that where lean started was way back in the 1800s. In fact, the date on the next slide will say 1897. See that? It says Toyota started this with a loom machine in 1897. Now, I don't know if any of you are manufacturers of cloth or if you have any ideas of cloth manufacture, but what Sakichi Toyoda, who's the grandfather of Toyota today, what he did was he decided that in cloth manufacture, one of the things that you need to do is a changeover of a loom. His idea, his innovation was this: what if the looms were automatically changed over so that there is no changeover delay? So the cloth is constantly rolling. There is no changeover delay. And you know how we always think about quality, cost, and delivery to be these three things which compete against each other? Well, that was not Toyota's intent. That was not Toyota's intent. Toyota's intent was that we will continue a delivery. In other words, we won't stop the line. We'll continue a delivery at the right quality, and by doing that, we assure the right cost. We assure the right price. Now, this was a mindset shift. This was a completely different mindset shift, and I'll be now talking about what is lean in a supply chain environment, in a supply chain management environment. You'll find that lean. By the way, guys, I got a little message saying that my internet connection is a bit unstable. Can you all still hear me? Just doing a quick sound check. And please, if you do, yes, okay. So if you do have any questions, please make sure you type the questions in into the chat pane, and I'll see the questions and I'll get to them as soon as I can. So the purpose, if you go to the next slide, the purpose of lean, the purpose of supply chain management is where I want to start. And supply chain management, what do we mean by supply chain management? Well, supply chain, what do we mean by the supply chain is everything from the raw material supplier all the way through to you guys as suppliers, you ladies and gentlemen as suppliers, or it could be the distributor, the manufacturer. It doesn't matter where you sit on the spectrum, the retailer, the logistics provider, all the way through to the consumer is what we mean by the supply chain. And the purpose of supply chain management is, and I saw this on something with from MIT. The purpose of supply chain management is 8 rights, if you like: the right place, the right time, the right quantity, quality, service, cost, and source. Let's not forget the right source. That's what the purpose is of supply chain management. That's what your purpose is, those of you who joined us on the webinar. And the purpose of lean within supply chain management is to get it right the first time, efficiently, effectively, to delight the customer. Not only to satisfy the customer, but to delight the customer and grow the business at the same time. Now, guys, I do realize that my internet connection, I had a little message here saying there's an occasional breakup, but sounds like you guys are all listening. Please do type something into the chat pane if you can't hear me. I'll keep going. But why? Why do this thing called continuous improvement? Why do this thing called lean in supply chain? Well, here it is. You know, I said we worked with 350 odd organizations. Well, have a look at the categories of improvement that we've addressed in supply chain and operations. We've targeted improved throughput time, optimization of floor space, reduction of errors, reduction of inventory levels, reduction of delivery times, improved delivery times, reduction of labor time, as well as reduced out of stock. And we're able to achieve that range of percentage of improvement in 12 months or less in some situations. I'll show you a quick example of where it was, in fact, or less. So a little bit of history of Lean and Six Sigma. As I said, it's been around for the last more than 100 years now, nearly 120, 130 years. and Lean and Six Sigma have combined together to form what is modern-day Lean. And if you look at the application of Lean and Six Sigma in Australia on the next slide, you'll find that Lean, as the word Lean, has only been in Australia since around 1998, 99. Prior to that, I know we used to call it either supply chain optimization, or in fact, there were people touting it as industrial engineering. Those of us who have been in manufacturing, you would have heard the term industrial engineering. Well, that's what used to happen before the year 1999 or 2000. But you can see the various organizations that have applied this, and you can see the wide range of industries and verticals that these organizations come from. So what is lean thinking versus conventional thinking? So if you go to the next slide, you'll find that the difference between conventional thinking and lean thinking, I've got a number of characteristics there. The characteristics are the number and structure of the organization, number of people in the organization, structure of the organization, outsourcing, the nature of interactions within the organization, so the selection criteria for suppliers, pricing principles, quality, delivery, inventory buffers, production flexibility. You'll find that the top half of this table, those are all the characteristics. And you can see the contrast between the middle column, which is the conventional model of thinking, and lean thinking. The top half of this table, if you like, is more customer focused. Bottom half is a little bit more, I guess, internally focused. But if you look at from the customer focused perspective, the customers don't need to deal with many verticals, if you like, many verticals within your organization. The customer can deal with the clustered vertical or the clustered team. It's not even a vertical, it's horizontal. It's flow-oriented structure within your organization. So it becomes easier for the customer. Outsourcing for us is, in the lean way of thinking, is strategic outsourcing. And if you go down towards the bottom of this list, I'm not going to read everything on the list, I trust that's okay. You'll see, for example, the third and fourth from the bottom, production flexibility, low production flexibility in the conventional model, versus in the lean thinking model, high production flexibility. Look at inventory buffers, large inventory buffers, because we don't know, we're not able to rely on stable production, versus optimized inventory buffers. And if you look at leadership and mindset, lean moves us from a management directive conventional model leadership model to a leader-teacher model. Now, the reason I mention that leadership model is because it's important in everything that I talk about. If you look at the next slide, I've got the 5 principles of lean. As I take you through the 5 principles of lean and the Vative 5-step methodology for sustained improvement, notice that all of these need us as people to interact. We need to firstly define value from the perspective of the final customer. Identify the value stream or the supply chain or the process flow within your organization and eliminate waste. Now, what do we mean by waste? You can Google 7 wastes or 8 wastes. You'll find some good definitions out there. But when we teach this stuff and we facilitate your learning, what you'll find is that we give you the easy ways to identify that waste. And of course, if you've eliminated the waste, what you're left with is the remaining steps in the value stream, which are value add, and you enable them to flow. Now, here's a little secret for you. If you can do those first 3 steps, if you can do those first sustainably, you're 90% of the way there. Step 4, allowing the customers to pull product as needed, leads to that optimized inventory, leads to that optimized supply chain model that I mentioned earlier on. And of course, the 5th step is to pursue perfection. This is a continuous improvement cycle. That's what lean is. So there's not much point doing this as a piecemeal activity. Once off, you've got to keep doing it. Now, it could be a little bit small on your screens, depending on your screen size, to see this. But here is a 5-step model that we use from Vative in building capability. Now, you notice what's at the center of this model. It is culture. And culture is not independent of people. It is the people within your organization that create the culture. So in all of this journey, all of these 5 steps, keep those people in mind and keep the building of their capability in mind as you go through this. So step 1, analysis and alignment. Step 2, get the leadership aligned. This needs to be a leadership push and a people pull model that we implement, and that is what forms cultural transformation. The 3rd step, once you've got those first 2 steps right, is to build capability. Train, coach, teach your people, and coach them so that they can implement in step 4 what they need to implement. And step 5, let's not forget, is the summary and the celebration of it. So that's a 5-step model. And when we do this, watch what happens. I've got a little case study that's coming up here on the next slide. I'm giving you a case study. There is a question there. I'll answer it in 1 second. I'm giving you a case study which is from Coles. We did this at the Coles Eastern Creek DC, and we did a 1-hour process walk. That's all we did, 1 hour on the shop floor, and we got the team members that have been trained in lean thinking to come on this walk, and in 1 hour alone, they were able to identify $110,000 of savings per DC, per distribution center. Multiply that by 13 and you know what happens. And there's the workings of what they did. I've got a question here that I'll field right now. It says, is lean always about manufacturing and supply chain? Can it be applied on business processes in other industries? Ahmed, the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, you get more, you tend to get more of a cultural shift when you include all other facets of your business. Ahmed, does that answer your question? You do get, you in fact get the underlying system. Thank you, Ahmed. You get the underlying system improved when you apply this to the entire range of functions within your business or to different industries. Now, this is the Coles Supply Chain 4 and 4 initiative. After training the team, and firstly engaging the team members, training the team, we trained the project managers. There were 11 improvement projects, and those 11 improvement projects alone delivered $4 million EBIT annual impact in just 4 months. In fact, in just under 4 months, all the way from project selection to actioned improvements. That is a power of lean. That is a power of lean thinking. So guys, that is a brief overview of what lean and continuous improvement is about and what it can do for you as a team. My details are on this on the next slide, but lean principles and optimizing your supply chain. If you'd like to know more about it, please type in a yes into your chat pane, and we will get to you. We'll come across and give you some more information around it. Of course, feel free to email us directly at parth@vative.com.au or contact Peter, and through the Apix interface, you will definitely be able to get in touch with us. So guys, I thank you for your time. I trust you got a little bit of value out of that. I will take another 30 seconds of questions if I can answer them. Otherwise, I'll hand back to Peter. Any questions, guys? Thanks, Jonathan. No, Peter, it doesn't sound like there's too many questions. There's a few people that typed in yes to they want to know more. I'm sure we can help them out some way.
Yeah, thank you, Parth. I appreciate that. And guys, just to remind you again, these questions, you can continue putting questions in your chat box. We'll post them into our special interest group on our website. If you register as a web friend, you can actually carry on and add new questions and continue the discussions. So you're welcome to do that. Now, we would see from this, and we acknowledge the fact that operating successful operations, be that lean or procurement, as we will hear from our next speaker, depends on really a talented team. At the Apix here, we can add significant value to the supply chain community. We have programs where the classroom discussions are practical and relevant, and whatever is learned and discussed can technically immediately be applied to the business. There's no single university in Australia at the moment that offers the same material that we do at apicsAU. So from in that regard, is one of our offerings is Diploma in Purchasing, which is available as distance learning as well as an in-class format. Now, we've talked to our students and four clear benefits that came out of their experience: improving purchasing decisions, gaining procurement competency, identifying and prioritizing needs, appraising options and effective negotiations. Now, that's what our students say about the program. It's well regarded by some of Australia's largest procurement departments and even a large oil and gas companies have global presence in Australia has just recently put 15 of their procurement team through the diploma this year. There's more information available on our website, www.apicsAU.org.au, or you can respond to the chat box and say yes, diploma, and we will follow up with you. Thanks. Our next speaker has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to problem solving. Sunil Yas, Business Development Manager at SYSPRO, internationally experienced entrepreneur and senior sales professional. He's got a proven track record of more than 30 years in running business operations, managing profit and loss, closing sales on a variety of technology products, services, and solutions. So Sunil will be presenting on how you can streamline your inventory and achieve operational efficiency. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, Peter, for a colorful introduction. Much appreciated. Thanks, Parth, for a great presentation on improving efficiencies in procurement, inventory optimization, and supply chain using Lean. Hello to all of you who are attending this webinar. Today, I will talk about how technology assists you in continuous process improvement within your businesses. Let's start with some definitions. What is procurement? Procurement is a process within a business that has become super specialized, and in the current business environment, we employ specialist procurement managers to manage this process for us. However, without modern day technology, these processes and people cannot efficiently provide accurate results. So we look at supply chain. So supply chain is a system of organizations, people, activities, information, and resources involved in moving a product or service from a supplier to a customer. Supply chain activities involve transformation of natural resources, raw materials, and components into a finished product. In this example, we are shopping at a supermarket. We are naturally putting into place a demand-driven supply chain management strategy here. We then manage the supply chain, and at the end of the week, we evaluate and improve supply chain effectiveness by refining our purchases. Otherwise, we'll end up with too many squishy grapes and moldy zucchinis. We base these decisions on cost or unit or seasonality of produce and respond to this analysis. A supply chain ensures that you are continually seeking to perfect the balance between what is required and not overstocking the fridge, leading to waste. So as a customer, we are all driven by cost. However, cost is not the only criteria. Knowing who is a preferred supplier and what their lead times are is very valuable when it comes to supplying raw materials, subcontractor services, and the supply chain relating to contract management. An ERP system is an end-to-end management solution. It enables companies to fulfill their procurement and purchasing needs, whether it is procure to pay or order to cash, including in it not only the financial aspect of business transaction, but also the business relationship, and finally the inventory management aspect of it. Having the ability to view information which is based on conditions within the agreed upon criteria with a supplier with a good history is very valuable when making purchasing decisions. Contract management is a fundamental cornerstone of supply chain management. So here we are looking at a client's quandary on what to purchase and when and why. Procurement departments have to prepare for the worst. Thus, factors which might impede the supply chain might also affect the supplier's ratings. Factors detrimental to a supplier's performance are consistent failures in quality, seasonal shortfalls, price gouging, late delivery, lack of stock tracking, difficulty in getting returns processed, constant mismanagement due to non-adoption of technology to automate processing, purchasing and eliminating duplicate orders, human errors, oversupply, short deliveries, and authentication of a valid order which correct delivery details. Another factor to consider is at the receiving dock, the supplier not only not providing correct paperwork can also slow the supply chain down. So, as it is evident from this slide, in the modern world, we have become not only intolerant of a supplier, but also lack loyalties to any particular supplier if they fail to deliver what we require. So to avoid supply chain failures, the processes for procurement and purchasing to consider are develop, implement, and review purchasing strategies, manage supplier relationships, then manage purchasing agreements, resolve disagreements with suppliers, finalize agreements and review performance of suppliers. A good ERP solution allows you to do this by allowing you to allocate a preferred supplier and then a number of alternate suppliers who are ranked by their ability to align themselves with the organization's purchasing strategy. So if you look at the next slide, we are clearly looking at low prices and high quality, which is what all of us want. So to optimize the procurement and purchasing strategy, we need to consider these points. We need to manage contract performance. We need to manage and monitor business or record systems. This can be automated to a dashboard, automatically generating daily, weekly, monthly reports that show supplier performance. We need to manage risk, identify risk, and implement treatments. So moving on, so how does your organization view suppliers? Okay, and this is what we have to say. So as we move on into our next slide, so we are looking at suppliers as our partners, not as adversaries. Those suppliers who can align with our company objectives and ensure a seamless workflow, these are the ones that we would like to select as to participate with us, basically. So essentially, supply chains link value chains, and value chain actively determine cost and affects profits. Now we are looking at not just cost optimization, but in this slide, we're also improving business efficiencies and increased profitability. So value chains are formed with strategic supply chain partners, as we said before. And in today's global world, we need to keep an eye on the international players. Being undercut on price and quality is no longer the norm. You can arm yourself with the tools to successfully manage international purchasing using multiple currencies, landed cost tracking, and inspection at goods received to ensure that there is quality before adding to existing stock. So having automated ordering and greater analytics takes the fear and complication out of overseas contract management. Which of course brings us to this question: what should you be doing to ensure a profit-centric procurement department? With modern day ERP, the entire data for your organization can be securely placed at your fingertips. Literally, purchasing and procurement management have the most to gain out of this technology. Imagine the ability to be able to optimize your inventory and to forecast your stock needs. With better analytics comes better management, and allowing for lean principles to set your organization will reduce the burden of overstocking or waste, which obviously leads to no longer tying up your finances, freeing up your finances, basically. So, does ERP drive better procurement? Of course, the answer is yes. We use technology for almost everything in our day-to-day lives to ensure smooth running of affairs. ERP in a manufacturing and distribution business will ensure an optimized supply chain for you and your organization, leading to better relationships between you and your suppliers. So hence, requisition, procurement, and purchasing are also equally as important to the supply chain as production and distribution. If correct emphasis is placed managing all aspects within the organization in one transparent, scalable system, and a culture of continuous improvement is embraced, then you can simplify your success. This is about SYSPRO. So this is the part that I love the most. So, and I say that I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you a little bit about SYSPRO. So SYSPRO is a company which is 35 years in the making. SYSPRO is a specialist ERP software solution company. very strong focus on manufacturing, distribution, and supply chain verticals. SYSPRO employs more than 500 employees, and a lot of them love working here simply because I guess SYSPRO must be doing the right thing. The entire SYSPRO technology is built on Microsoft .NET framework, and all the modules, which is more than about 50, are all built internally. We own the IP and the source code to each and every module that we have built, making it easy for us to scale up, change, or add based on our customers' requirements. With head office in South Africa and a strong footprint in USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and Singapore, we are truly a privately owned global company. Thanks for your time, and I'll hand you back to Peter.
Thank you, Sunil. And let me remind you again, you can keep posting questions. And even after this webinar, you can go to our website. We have recently commenced with special interest groups. There is a group for continuous improvement and one for procurement and purchasing. If you will post questions there, you can participate in the discussions and the responses there. So we hope you've enjoyed this live webinar. May I encourage you to seek out our supply chain education and training programs that we have available, and that you can work through that and best achieve your professional growth. There will be an information pack provided to you via email after this session, which will include free tools and guides for you to review and use. So we hope that you will join us in future webinars in 2016. May I just use the opportunity to also wish you all a Merry Christmas and thank you for your time and attendance. Good day.